Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Lydia Wilms, and I'm an Adult Services Librarian at Carrollton Public Library. We are so pleased to be able to offer our Microsoft Word for Beginners class virtually, thanks to the expertise of one of our computer class volunteers. You may know Caroline Cutbirth, our instructor, from last year's live classes. She recently earned her Bachelor of Science degree in Information Technology and Systems. Caroline created this class and is excited to be here and to have this opportunity to share her knowledge with you. Caroline?
Thank you, Lydia. So today we're going to go through the basics of the popular word processing software, Microsoft Word. With these tools, you'll be able to create professional documents quickly and efficiently. So let's start with our learning objectives today. So today we're going to learn about the terminology and toolbars that make Word, go through the basics of creating text, in addition to formatting text, formatting documents, and managing documents. With this knowledge, you should be able to create most Word documents comfortably. Why do we need computers and word processing software in the first place? PCs, or personal computers, are one of the most useful tools at our disposal. With computers, we are able to do tasks like writing, math, science, and processing that used to take us days, months, or years in the time before the digital era. This is especially true for typesetting, which used to be dominated by typewriters in the 1880s. However, with computers becoming easily accessible around the 1970s, word processing is the new norm for typesetting. The most popular word processing software package today is Microsoft Word, although Google offers a free online package called Google Docs, and Apple offers a native processing package called Pages on their operating systems. Today, however, we'll be focusing on Microsoft Word. The initial screen that you access when you open a new document or Word has two major components, the Quick Access Toolbar and the ribbon. The Quick Access Toolbar is located at the very top left of the Microsoft Word window, and it is always available regardless of the tab, view, or ribbon display option enabled. The Quick Access Toolbar has basic features like save, undo, redo, print, and is completely customizable to your tastes and preferences. The ribbon is located under the Quick Access Toolbar and features a wide array of tabs that you can change, format, and review on the document. The main purpose of Word as a program is to edit, create, and format text. So let's review some of the common terminology related to text. Text refers to the words typed to the screen using the keyboard. Text is made out of characters, which are the individual numbers, letters, spaces, and punctuation marks in a document. Font is the style in which the text appears on the screen. You may have heard of Arial or Times New Roman, which are popular fonts for Word documents. There are two types of fonts, serif and sans serif. Serif fonts have fancy little tails or lines at the pointed ends of their characters, while sans serif fonts do not have the extra lines, so they appear easier to read and simpler. Bold is thick and darker fonts for emphasis. Italics refer to slanted fonts. There are a variety of actions you can take within Word to make the process of creating a document easier. Spell check is a commonly used program within Word that reviews text to ensure that spelling and grammar are correct, and points out mistakes using different colors like red and blue for the user to review. Cut, copy, and paste are extremely useful tools that allow for the user to take some text and move it to another place. Cut removes the text, while copy leaves the text, and paste is the action that places the text in a new location. Margins are the white space around the documents. Whenever you want to start a Word doc, you first click the Windows button, which is a set of slanted boxes aligned in a grid. You can then use your scroll wheel or the bar to the right of the search pane and go to the W section and click on Word. You can also search for Word using the search bar, depending on the version of Windows that you have. Here's the Quick Access Toolbar, where you can save, undo, and redo as necessary. The ribbon is just below it, showing our various tabs that can help us when creating or editing a document. The cursor is this blinking line right here, and it generally starts in the left corner of the document. The cursor indicates where text will appear if you begin typing. If you enter words, the quick brown fox jumped over the fence, where the cursor was blinking, you will see the words appear from the left. If the cursor is not there, you will need to click on the white space to get the cursor to begin blinking, and then you can begin typing. To delete that text, you can go ahead and press the backspace button located at the top right of your keyboard. You can either press once to delete a single character, or you can hold the button to delete an entire sentence. If you take a look at your ribbon, under the Home tab, you can see a font subsection. This subsection is likely where you will spend the most of your time whenever you are using Word. You can select text by clicking in the text that you would like to modify, and continue holding down the mouse button and drag until you have selected the text that you want. Selected text will appear with a gray highlight. You can delete this entire section by pressing the backspace or delete on your keyboard, which is much easier for long paragraphs that need to be deleted, rather than holding down the backspace button for the entirety of the selection. Back at the ribbon, the tab called Home is where the majority of text modification happens. This is where the font submenu lives, and here you can bold, italicize, and underline text using the B, I, and U letters located in the bottom left of the menu. You can also change the font with the box that says Calibri Body, in addition to the size where the box says 11. Here's bold, italics, and underline, and here is the font section as well as the size section. Once you have your document typed up and formatted, you may want to check for errors. There are a couple of ways that you can perform grammar and spell checks. You can right-click the individual spelling error to fix it by clicking the spelling section and selecting the correct spelling option. You can also perform an overall spelling and grammar check by going to the Review section of the ribbon and opening the Spelling and Grammar wizard under the Proofing submenu. The Quick Access toolbar is especially useful for the Undo and Redo buttons. The Undo button is the arrow facing to the left, while the Redo button is the arrow facing to the right. Undo will remove the latest action performed, while Redo will take back that undo. If you are also interested in commands to make work faster, Ctrl+Z is for undo and Ctrl+Y is for redo. There are a variety of ways that you can change the overall document in addition to changing the text for a Word file. We're going to go over templates, spacing, indentation, page alignment, and margins. These formatting options can usually be found under the Layout section in the ribbon. Templates are great tools that appear when you first open up a Word document. Microsoft has created a variety of documents that you can change for your purposes, like letters, calendars, and brochures. As a student, I often use the APA and MLA templates that Microsoft offered to make writing papers easier. Spacing is the amount of space in between the lines. You can adjust how far or close your text appears by changing the spacing of a paragraph. This is located in the Home menu on the ribbon underneath the Paragraph submenu. It is the icon with 4 lines next to an arrow with 2 heads. Double spacing is very common, and it is the 2.0 option from the drop-down menu. Indentations are also common for the first sentence of a new paragraph to create contrast and ease confusion within a document. The easiest way to indent the first sentence is to press the Tab key on the keyboard with your cursor in front of the sentence. You can also edit the exact indentation with the Indentation section under the paragraph window. Hanging indents, which are indents that occur after the first sentence of a paragraph and are commonly used for citations, can be selected in the Paragraph menu under the special dropdown in Indentations. Alignment is where your text appears on the page. Left justified is most commonly used for documents where text starts at the left of the page and extends to the right. Center justified puts text at the center of the page. Right justified puts text at the right of the page. You can change these options under the Paragraph section of the Home menu with the different sets of lines in the bottom left. Margins are the white space around the text in the document. If you go to the Layout section of the ribbon, you will see margins as a selection. You can either click a default setting or enter your own custom margin. The most common is 1 inch at the top, left, bottom, and right. Once you've created your document, you will need to save, And you also have the option to print or export your document. Let's go through those processes right now. You can either save your work with the quick access toolbar on the floppy disk icon, or you can select the File tab on the ribbon and select Save. If this is a new document, you will need to name your file and then click Save. Later on, you will be able to open this file with File Explorer or in the Word software under the Open tab on File. If you want to print your document, you will go to the File on the ribbon, select Print in submenu, and choose your printer under the Printer section. You can change the way your document is printed here with these options, but the default settings will usually suffice for most documents. PDFs are a form of file that are consistent to share over the internet. Many people can view PDFs, even if they don't have Microsoft products, so it is a good thing to learn how to export your file to PDF. You can either follow the steps to print the file, and instead of selecting your own printer, select Microsoft Print to PDF as your printer, or you can head to the Export submenu under File on the ribbon and click Create PDF from the document. A final way to do this, let's Save As under File and click the File dropdown to change it to PDF. If you ever get lost or need to find an action that you can't locate on the ribbon, you can ask Word for help. There's a light bulb in the top right corner of the ribbon, and you type in what you are wanting to do to receive either the feature or a walkthrough on how to use the feature. Now that we've gone through the basics of Word, let's pull up a new document and try it out together. I'm going to open up the exercises and go through how to solve it, as well as provide some live examples of what we've gone through today on this PowerPoint. We're going to navigate the ribbon. The ribbon is selectable through Home, Insert, Draw, Design, Layout, References, Mailings, Review, View, and Help. These are helpful tabs to go through whenever you want to access different features that Word can offer you. For right now, let's just explore some of the different tabs that the ribbon has to offer. Home is the main subsection that you will access whenever you're editing a document within Word. Insert is helpful for whenever you want to put in pictures or a table or any of these other items that are interesting to you. Draw is an interesting tab because you can actually take a pen and draw directly on your Word document. This is very useful for students or if you're taking notes on something. Design references the entire design of the document. So you can change the overall colors and fonts of your entire document. This is more of an advanced feature that you can go through whenever you use a template or a theme or something of that nature. Layout is where margins, orientation, size, and columns comes into play. So here you can change your indentations, your spacing, the margins, in addition to other factors that change the entire look of your document. References is where if you're writing a paper and you need to insert a table of contents, a footnote, or if you need to insert a citation, this is a very useful tab for you. Mailings is very useful if you have a mailing list or if you need to send out a mass number of emails. These options right here can help you with your recipients as well as with labels. Mail merge is an advanced topic that you might need to take some more research into. This is a very good if you have to send out a lot of emails in a very short period of time. At the end of our session, we will go through review where you can perform spelling and grammar checks as well as some accessibility features. So if you need your document to be read aloud, you can select that right here. This track changes is good if you're editing a paper. So if you would like to track the changes that you were making, it'll highlight it in red. So this is good for if you're a professor, if you're a student, and you need to go through and edit your paper. Views is the different views that you can select to view your document in. In addition to these read mode, print layout, and web layout, you can also have your multiple pages displayed side to side, in addition to creating a new window of the same document so you can view them side by side. And finally, help is good if you are not sure where to turn next. You can go ahead and contact support, give feedback, and receive some training straight from Microsoft Word. So let's start with the first exercise on our document, which is to press the undo button on the quick access toolbar. So we haven't typed anything yet, but if I was to type, say, dad, and I wanted to undo that, I could go ahead and click up here and undo my entire typing. Let's say that I actually did want to type dad and I accidentally undoed. I can go ahead and void out that undo that I just performed. So that's an easy way if you've made a mistake to quickly get it back to where it was. So we've already kind of gone through the ribbon. If you switch to the Draw tab, you can go ahead and navigate back to the Home tab. This is just an easy way to see the different options which we've just gone through. And now I'm going to show you a different way to get to the view modes. So let's say that you did not want this print preview display any longer and you wanted to read it in a simpler form. You could go ahead and go down here to read mode, and you would get a very simplified form of your document that you could view. So those little tabs are down here. You have read mode, print layout, and web layout. Just easier ways to get to those viewing modes. Let's talk about entering and editing text. If we were to enter the text, hello world, you'll see that where my cursor was right here is where the text will be entered. So text will be entered to the left of the blinking cursor. So if I put a space, the space would be entered to the left of the blinking cursor. If we wanted to select this text, we would go ahead and click, and while clicking, drag our cursor over the hello world. So to do that again, we click and hold our click until we get to where we'd like to stop selecting text. Click again, and then we have our text selection. And as you can see, that is highlighted in gray. So after we've entered hello world with the top left portion of the document, we want to delete the words afterwards using our backspace key. So if you wanted to delete this entire text portion, you can either press the backspace key, which is located at the top right of your keyboard. Or if you wanted to do that a little bit faster, you could press and hold the backspace key, and it'll delete it in one long section. In addition to holding your backspace key, you can also click and drag and select the entire thing with your cursor, and then go ahead and press either the backspace or the delete key, and the entire selection will be deleted. Our next exercise is to modify some text. We're going to enter the words, "I'm having so much fun learning computers, I wish I could do it all day," into our document, and then change our font to Times New Roman, our size to 20 point. We're going to bold the sentence, highlight it blue, and then change the text color to red. So these are things that you can do to change the way that your font looks, in addition to making them pop on the screen. Having so much fun learning computers, I wish I could do it all day. So now that we have this entered into our blank document, we can click and drag, then click again, and now we have a highlighted section of text that we can now format. So first, we're going to go over to this font section. Right now we're on the body format of Calibri, but we would like to change it to Times New Roman. So here you can either click and drag, and you can roll over some of these to see how it would look in your document. But if you already know exactly what font you'd like, you can also click up here, type in Times New Roman, and then press enter, and your font will be in Times New Roman. Next, we want to increase the size of our text. So we'll go over to this box that says 11 right here. You can click on the drop-down arrow, scroll down to 20, or however much you'd like. And now we have text that is almost 2 times as big. Next, let's talk about changing colors and highlighting. If I go ahead and select this section again, I can come up here to this font subsection of the home ribbon tile, and I have this highlighter pin right here. If I select the down arrow, while my text is selected, I can change the types of highlight that my font has. So this is really good if you're taking notes on document or if you want to emphasize something. My favorite color is this little blue right here, because I think it's very easy to read the black text. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight it like that. In addition to highlighting text, you can also change text color. I'm going to highlight my selection again, come up to this A with the black line under it, with the drop down arrow. The most basic colors are down here in standard colors, and I'm going to go ahead and change the font color to red. And so now I have Times New Roman 20 point red text with blue highlight. Let's talk about bolding, italicizing, and underlining. This B, I, U right here are all of the selections that you need to either bold, italicize, or underline your text. If I wanted to emphasize my text by making it thicker, I could go ahead and press this B. To deselect this or to change it back, all you have to do is click the B again and it'll go back to normal. To change it to italics, it's the same process. In addition, you can also underline your text. Now we're going to select and delete the sentence that we just created, and we're going to see what kind of effects that has on our document. I'll click, drag, and click, and then I'll press the backspace key. One thing to notice is that our formatting will not go back to the default formatting. It will stay as how we formatted it, how we formatted the sentence that we just deleted. So if I was to type in hello world again, you can see that I'm still Times New Roman 20 bold and my text is still red. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you're writing a document, is whatever formatting changes that you make will stay that way until you go back and change them. So next, let's talk about copying and pasting. If you have this document open on your desktop, you can go ahead and click and drag and click. Then you will put your mouse in the gray portion of the text and right click. Next, we'll move over to copy and click. So now this selection of text is on our clipboard. So we can go ahead and move to our other document. Go ahead and enter. I will right click. And then I have some options on how I would like to paste this from my clipboard. I can either keep the formatting from the original document. I can merge the formatting, so have it the same formatting as my hello world up there. I can put it in as a picture, which is, it won't be editable, the text. You won't be able to click in there, so I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you actually want it as a picture. Or we can keep the text only. For our purposes, I'm just going to keep the source formatting. As you can see, there's a bulleting format here that came over whenever we copied and pasted. One way that you can fix that is just to place your cursor behind this U and then press backspace twice and you'll remove that formatting. You can go ahead and type this paragraph, include the typos because we're going to want to practice spelling and grammar checks later. So next, we're going to format this. We're going to change the spacing to double spacing. We're going to align the text to be center justified. We're going to change the margins to narrow, indent the first line of the paragraph, and then perform a grammar check. I'm going to go ahead and remove this hello world. So the first things first, we're going to change our spacing to 2. So I'm going to make my selection and then move over to this paragraph section under the home tile in the ribbon. These 4 lines right here with the double-headed arrow, this is our paragraph spacing selection. I'll click this drop-down arrow and I can select the amount of space that occurs between each line of text. For our purposes, we'd like double spacing. So as you can see, it's now 2 times as spaced out. Next, we're going to indent the first sentence of this paragraph. All I'm going to do is place my cursor in front of my Y, and I'm going to press my Tab key. And then that's indented. Now we're going to center justify our text. I'm going to make my selection and then move up to this paragraph submenu under the home ribbon. And I'll move these lines right here, dictate where the text will be aligned. So right now we're left justified, which is most commonly used in documents, but I would like it to be center justified. So if I go ahead and press that, you can see it spans out from the center of the document instead of spanning out from the left side of the document. So next we want to mess with the margins. I'm going to move from the Home tab to the Layout tab of the ribbon, move over to this Page Setup submenu, click Margins, and you can see that we can either select one of the default settings that Microsoft has provided us, or we can create a custom margin. For right now, I just want less space on the outside of the document, so I'm going to select Narrow. So now we have less space on this outside and we can fit much more text in the middle of our document. Finally, we're going to perform a grammar check. There are a couple of ways to fix the grammar and spelling errors. You can either place your cursor in the middle of the misspelled word, right click, and then you'll receive some recommendations. Or you can move over to the Review tab, and in the proofing section, you can click Spelling and Grammar. This opens up the editor pane. So here they'll offer you grammar and writing in addition to spell check suggestions. So the way that this works is they will give you some suggestions in the bottom pane. So here they would like to put a comma after me to make it grammatically correct. So to accept this suggestion, I will go ahead and click on the me comma. In addition, they will also offer us language choices. So instead of have to, they'd like us to say must, but I don't really want to make that change. So one thing that you can do is go ahead and press ignore once, and you'll move on to the next error. Here they're correcting our spelling of that's, and I think that that's fine. Creation is misspelled, so I'll go ahead and accept this. You can move along that way. Sometimes they'll give you incorrect spellings. So here we'd like to take the S off of skies. One thing you can do is go ahead and select it within the document and your spelling check will be paused. So I'm going to press my backspace button. I still have some misspelled words, so I'm going to click resume and the wizard will go ahead and start back up. After it's finished, Microsoft Word will tell you that the spelling and grammar check is complete, which means that everything looks good. Now that we've had a live example, I have a challenge for you. Can you create a professional looking letter to a member of your family with the following attributes? A bold title, center justified within the page, 2 paragraphs of text that are left justified with proper indentations at the first sentence of the paragraph, some different colored text for emphasis, moderate margins using the default setting within Word, 2 different font sizes, double spacing, with a grammar and spelling check performed. In addition, there are some other things we did not cover here today that you could try and add. You can try and add a photograph in addition to a header with your name, address, and phone number, and you can also try and use a template. Let's go through an example that I've created. So as you can see, for bonus points, I went ahead and created a header with my name, my address, and my number. I have a bolded title in the center of the page. My 2 paragraphs are left justified with an indentation. I've created some different colored text as emphasis, in addition to some italics and bolding. I've also included a picture for bonus points. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you, Caroline, and thank you all for watching and participating in this informative class. We have online and print resources to help you learn more about computers and different software applications. We have online resources, books and ebooks, as well as internet resources.